our number one game this week, a lot of number one games around the country, will be number 3 Michigan and number 11 Penn State. This is by far the most important game to me on the weekend because of what the committee has told us about Ohio State. Guys, all three of us unanimously agree that Michigan should be the better team, should be favored. We've talked about Michigan being the best team in the country over Georgia. Never once have we had a discussion over Michigan State, or I'm sorry, not over Michigan State, over Michigan
They're also not the
being
best team in the country.
being the best
Yeah, I'm
team
willing to go out
over
on a
Ohio
limb on that
State.
one.
No, the East Lansing has not been accused of being a penultimate team in quite some time. This is a 5.5-point spread in favor of the Wolverines. They do have to go to Happy Valley. It's the big noon kickoff on Fox. Guys, before this season started, I looked into this camera and I told you Penn State was going to do it this year. They got Michigan at home. Last year was ugly. It was 2 black eyes on James Franklin and the Penn State program. But this year was going to be different. That Penn State was going to use this game to ride to victory a Big Ten East title, a Big Ten championship appearance, and a college football playoff appearance. And I could not backpedal out of that take any faster than I am right now. Penn State had a chance to go to Ohio State, to upset them, to take the bull by the horns, and they didn't do it. And I'm afraid that almost said Jimbo Fisher, Freudian slip, that James Franklin is going to be a day late and $1 short. One of the most talented rosters he's ever had, right? It's a freshman quarterback in Drew Aller. We can talk about that, but this defense is loaded. And yet I still feel like Penn State is absolutely going to waste this opportunity. I think Michigan is the clear-cut favorite here. I'd love to dive into the X's and O's with you guys. And Garrett, let's start with you. You're the Michigan homer here, the Michigan backer. Without a doubt, all eyes will be on this running game and what Penn State's rushing defense didn't do last year.
Yeah, I mean, last year, Penn State's running defense basically gave up everything that Michigan wanted. Michigan was able to run for, 418. They did whatever they wanted to on the ground. It's ridiculous. And so no team should be able to run that way if you're going to claim that you're a top team. If you're going to give that up, that's on you. This year, they're maybe not quite as prolific at stopping the run. Michigan's maybe slightly better, but they're also more balanced on offense. They're just a little bit more balanced. They can throw the ball now. Should make the safeties back up, should keep them off balance. I don't know that they run for as much in this game, just out of necessity. Roman Wilson's been a revelation for these guys. Really, really excited to see kind of what he can do as this season comes to a close with some of these big games on the slate. But look, this is a really, really good Michigan team. It's a really good Michigan offense. And when you compare it to the flip side, they don't have to be perfect because I don't think this Penn State offense is very good at all. I don't think this Penn State offense can do very much to keep up with Michigan. So let's say that they get held down a little bit in the first and second quarters just because of how good the defense is for Penn State. That's probably fine because Michigan's style of football, as it's been for the last couple of years, is just to lean on you and to lean on you a little bit more and to wear you down and to kick that field goal on the first drive and then to barely get that touchdown on the second drive, and then to play some field position, take advantage of a turnover, and then eventually just wear you down as a team. And I think that's the model for Michigan this time around, too. I think this is just wear down Penn State. It's going to be harder because Penn State's a better team than most of the teams they've played so far, but I think that's still on the table this time with a much more balanced attack on the offensive side of the football.
Trey, on the flip side, if Penn State is going to have a chance to disrupt J.J. McCarthy, this Michigan offense, quietly, J.J. McCarthy's having a fantastic season. 2,100 yards passing, 18 touchdowns, just 3 picks. But you got to feel like Penn State needs a boost. They need a shot in the arm. They need something to take this defense over the edge. There's a chance that they get one of their X factors back this week.
Yeah, they need Chop Robinson back in the worst way because he's who makes this defense go. Obviously, injured against Ohio State and hasn't played since, and you've seen it on the field, right? We saw it against, not directly where he would be, but just the defense doesn't look as cohesive as it did prior to his injury. We saw it against Indiana. We've seen it, multiple times since that Ohio State game. So getting Chop Robinson back would be huge. And guys, listen, the X factor to me in this game is, can James Franklin finally win a big one, right? Like we've been waiting so long for him to actually show it. I looked up, he's 4-15 in his career at Penn State against Ohio State and Michigan.
Yikes.
4-15. And it feels like it's worse than that, doesn't it? Like 2 of his wins against, I think he beat Michigan in the COVID year when Michigan was awful and not even really trying. And we're counting that for him. So it's an uphill battle for Penn State against Michigan and Ohio State. And I don't think they're that far off talent-wise. You see the NFL draft results. Obviously, Ohio State and Michigan get a ton of NFL draft picks, but Penn State's not that far behind. And not that far behind in the recruiting rankings as well. So it comes down to coaching. It comes down to, like I pointed out about Jimbo Fisher, I think James Franklin, ironically, with, that Freudian slip earlier, has a little bit of Jimbo Fisher in him in these big games, because his teams seem to play more tight. His teams seem to play, scared to not make a mistake. And that's what gets you beat in these big games. You have to play loose. You have to play, with the confidence that you can win the game. And we just don't see that very often when Penn State plays against Ohio State and Michigan. We see it all the time when they have the talent advantage, but when they're down, when they are playing these big two in their division, we rarely see it. We haven't seen it in a couple years. So if they can find that magic, I'm excited to see what Penn State can do. Maybe they've been holding Drew Aller back. Maybe they've been, saving something for Michigan because they feel like they can strike while the iron's hot. It's at home. And they're not playing in Columbus this time. So it is an 11 a.m. kick, though. I know the fans are still going to be ready to go. So maybe that carries them through. But it's just hard to see the path from what we've seen from these two teams on the field for Penn State to win.
I agree. Penn State's going to have to force turnovers, right? They're going to have to get McCarthy off his spot early.
Which he hasn't done this year. No one's been able to do that.
No, he's been so consistent. I'm really concerned about what Will Johnson, this defensive back group for Michigan, is going to do against Drew Aller, who has not exactly lit the world on fire this year. He's been kind of a bus driver. I just don't know that you're going to be able to beat Michigan driving a bus at home or not. So as we move into our picks here, I mean, guys, listen, like I said, nobody was a bigger Penn State advocate than I was at the beginning of the season. But, when we get to week 12, you've got to adjust accordingly. And nothing that I've seen from Penn State gives me the confidence to stick with that pick. I'm going to go Michigan minus the points here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, taking Michigan minus the 5.5. I think we see a similar story to last year. I called this slog through Saturday, not because I think the matchups are going to be a bore or anything like that. I think this will be a compelling game for the most part, but Michigan, they're going on the road. They've just got to put their heads down, slog through the adversity that they're going to face. I think they're going to run for quite a few yards and lean on that run game, and they're going to pull away in the end, probably win by somewhere in the 10-17 range.
Yeah, I've been pounding my fist on the table that Michigan's the best team in the country for a little while right now. I'm going to keep pounding my fist. Michigan minus 5.5, big statement win. I think they know that they need this to be a statement too, because they know that if they win out, they're going to be fine. But I mean, how many times has Michigan just not gotten the benefit of the doubt, right? I think they know that they need this to jump in the rankings and to find that number 1 seed. So I'm going to keep pounding my fist. I'm going to keep saying that Michigan needs this. Watch for a big game, both in the run and the pass. I put that guy Roman Wilson on there. Watch him too. He's had some really big games. So watch this, and Michigan minus 5.5. Big spot for the Wolverines.
Just quickly, yes or no? Michigan dominates Penn State on the road. Do they jump Ohio State for the top team in the country? I know that would be going 2 spots, but would they jump Ohio State?
Maybe if they beat them by more than Ohio State does. Maybe.
Yeah, it depends how they do it. They got to look really good.
Because I would argue that Ohio State dominated Penn State just in a different way. If they come out and just, win by 20, 30 points and the offense moves the ball in a way that Ohio State couldn't, then possibly, especially for the TV show element. But it would have to be a pretty resounding victory.
Gracious him. How about